Welcome to Leaving CrazyTown with Finn.
And Sarah. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
What's going on, Finn?
Well, today we're going to talk about the human condition and how that contributes to codependency.
Yes, we are going to discuss the mental illness component. People might be thrown off by that of codependency, but it's not just codependent people, it's human people.
The human condition.
I'm not sure if there are certain people that aren't human, but anyways. So we're talking about
We're trying to be inclusive. I think Sarah was trying to be inclusive with that. However you identify, you're welcome here to the Leaving CrazyTown channel, and that's another thing coming from Sarah's head.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Finn. Everybody is included. So we're going to talk about some of the crazy thinking out of the book, Crazy. And what we talk about in this book, different parts of the crazy feelings and the crazy thinking. And one of the things we're going to discuss today and give examples of, which we know all of you can relate to, is mind reading. So
yes,
we as humans, and it gets amped up if we're codependent, believe we know what people are thinking, why they're thinking it, and what they need. And very often, because of our self-centered fear, which is about the world, everybody out there is behaving some way towards me, which instead of remembering that people are just thinking about themselves typically. They're not
all the center of our own universe.
Yes, they're not necessarily thinking about us. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. A quote from the book is, no matter how much you believe that you can tell who people are by just looking at them, or you believe you know what they're thinking, you can't. And then I write, seriously, you can't. And then I write, no, seriously, you can't. Because this is huge. People believe their thoughts and then act on them. And Finn, you can give an example. I'm just going to say the quick example about my ex-husband, George. Used to say this all the time, which I thought was hilarious. He'd say he'd be walking down the street. He'd see a couple. He'd decide that they're rich, good looking, and, jerks. Okay. Because basically they were jerks because they were rich and good looking, even though he had no idea. And then he'd diss them and treat them in a way based on his fantasy. Again, and they were probably lovely people. So I know other people can relate to this. You make up a story based on your past, and then you act on it. And today we're going to try to get people to interrupt that between the thoughts and the crazy thinking and action, because very often the action is based on the crazy thinking.
Yeah, don't act on it.
Don't act.
Check with someone. Yes.
The tool of the week is going to be what? What are we going to do instead of act? We're going to just notice.
Just notice those thoughts. And
notice the thoughts. Right.
So I want to start my share with, I am rich, and I am handsome, and I am not a jerk. Okay.
For anybody available out there? Is that
what no, I just wanted to be clear in case anyone had any ideas. I call my head the Tower of Terror because it is all fantasy and it's scary. And I used to act on it, and it's gotten me in quite a few situations. Yes. But I want to share a situation where a few years ago I was sitting in a meeting and I saw somebody that I really liked across the room, and I smiled like that, when you're across the room from someone, that hello smile, like, what's up, but you can't talk because you're in a room. And they were looking right at me and didn't smile back. And I was like, what did I do? I right away told myself they were mad at me. And
just then for 1 second. So the person does a smile, and what do? You make up it's about you rather than they could have had a fight with their wife. They could have, been
Right.
upset.
I made up they're mad at me for something, and I don't know. I made this up.
Okay.
So I spent a good amount of time trying to figure out what I did to them. So not only did I decide they were mad at me, I'm now trying to figure out what I did because I can't think of it. As the meeting goes on, I'm looking at other people and everyone looks mad. And I thought, oh my God. And they told everyone. Next thing I think is they told everyone what I did. So now I have no idea what I did. Everyone else is mad at me too. I spent the entire meeting trying to figure it out and feeling terrible because I smiled at someone and they didn't smile back.
Because though of something you thought you did, but you did not do. So based on fantasy.
Yeah, it was all fantasy. So the meeting ends, I get up. Now I'm like trying to get out of there. What I was going to swear, but my attitude when someone's mad at me is like, F them or push them away. That's one of my old coping mechanisms. So I get up and I walk by them and my friend's like, Finn, oh my God, I didn't even see you over there, and all ready to hug me and everything. And I was like, it was actually one of the first few times that I really became aware of me making up a story.
Yes. So good.
And at that time in my life, thank goodness they saw me and said hi, because they would have been deleted from my phone. I would have started my team against them, because back then I didn't know, the stuff I know today. And you guys all know, you know what that's like. You ever been with someone in your family or a friend and they're suddenly quiet and you're like, what's wrong?
What's wrong? The classic codependent line. Okay. The other piece that we want to really discuss today is believing when someone tells you something. So if I say to my son, hey, bud, you look sad. Are you okay? And he says, yeah, I'm fine. I don't then need to say, are you sure? And then,
then scan the whole history of the last week to try to figure out what possibly could be wrong with him.
Yes, when he has said nothing's wrong. All right, so this is another tool. When someone tells you something, believe them.
Believe it.
Okay, believe them. Because the thing is, even if they're, say, for example, he was struggling and he just didn't want to talk about it, he's still telling me his reality. It's not my job because what happens? We've discussed this, Finn. We start bugging someone and pestering someone and asking them a zillion questions when really they've said what they needed, which is, I don't want to talk about it.
Oftentimes I've had, my wife or other people try to ask me what's wrong or come to me with what they think is going on with me. And I'm literally like, it's empty. I don't even I don't know what they're talking about. It's empty. Like, I'm not even thinking. I'm just checking out mentally. I'm not upset. I'm not sad. It's literally just empty.
This is so good because this whole thing, are you okay? Like, it should be like the mantra of codependency because it just is. It happens so often. And really what we're going to bring it back to always is it's about us.
It's about us. Observe what's going on,
Yes. If I suddenly need to ask my son 100 times what's going on, then what am I anxious about? It's not about him anymore. It's about me. And
it's truly amazing at how uncomfortable I can feel when I think someone else is upset. And they say they're not. But, and then I got to look at that. What's, my fear of abandonment, rejection, other people's, whatever it is, that's what it really is.
Absolutely.
So the two tools we're going to use for this thinking is
just
noticing it. Don't act on it, people.
Don't.
Trust me, that doesn't work well.
It doesn't work.
And believing them when they tell you there's nothing wrong.
When they tell you, and again, even if you perceive something else, like it's giving people the dignity to be themselves, to set their own limits, that's up to them. It's not up to us to save someone who doesn't want to be saved, or try to help someone who doesn't want to be
We're
helped.
to try to get them to take care of us. So I'm having a quiet moment with myself because it's emptied out for a change. It's really nice over here, and you're upset and you want to know what's wrong. Now I'm like, now my codependency is like, oh crap, I have to be a certain way to make them feel better. And I don't want to do that. I can't take on that responsibility.
Right. So the bottom line is just let people be who they are and be responsible for your feeling states. And the mantra, another mantra is, I'm not responsible for anybody else's thoughts, feelings, or behaviors. I'm only responsible for mine. But just know that our minds can go into fantasy land, and we got to be responsible for that. Just notice your thoughts, people. They're just thoughts, and don't let them take you to crazy town, because
they make crazy phone calls. Because someday I'll talk about some crazy phone calls I made to people totally based in fantasy and how poorly they went over. So just notice the thoughts. Don't act on them.
Absolutely. And we think we're helping people, and we're not. Believe us. We're leaving.
We're out of here, people.
Bye.